Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Think of the smell of rain, petrichor, a scent that rises when water touches dry earth. There's something ancient about it, something that quiets the mind and pulls you inward. It carries memory, even for things you've never known. Or the scent of pine, sharp, clean and still. It feels like winter, even in summer. These smells aren't just processed, they are felt. Your body responds before you even name them, and that response is deep, emotional, and often peaceful. Even in early life, smell is how infants know their mothers. Within hours of birth, a baby can recognize the scent of the person who carried them. They find comfort in it. It slows their heart, steadies their breath. This connection between smell and safety stays with us. The smell of someone we love can soothe us instantly. A familiar home scent, spices, soap, old books, can ground us when the world feels too fast. But not all smells bring comfort. Some warn us, the acrid burn of fire, the sharp sting of spoiled food, the metallic bite of danger. These scents alert your brain, sending signals of caution. You recoil, you hold your breath, you move away. This is ancient survival. Your ancestors depended on this sensitivity. It helped them live. Your body still listens in the same way. And smell is more than just what your nose receives. It's what your mind builds around it. The scent of your grandfather's coat is not only wool and tobacco, it's stories. It's time, it's place. Your nose catches the molecules, but your heart fills in the rest. That's why two people can smell the same thing and feel completely different. One may weep, another may laugh. Scent does not just tell you what something is, it tells you what it means. The world is full of these invisible threads. Every breath you take is filled with quiet signals from the environment. Grass after a storm, bread baking in an oven, the salt of the sea. They tell you where you are, what season it is, what moment you're in. You may not notice them all, but they are always there, surrounding you, guiding you, stitching the world together with something softer than sound. Even animals live by scent. A dog can follow a trail days old. A bee can find its hive from miles away. Salmon return to the river of their birth by smell alone. This sense, though often quiet in humans, is dominant in many other lives. And yet in us, it holds something equally rich, memory, emotion, belonging. It may not guide us home by river, but it brings us back to ourselves. So as you breathe now, wherever you are, notice what rises. Is it the fabric of your clothes, the air from a nearby window, the soft scent of your skin? These are not just background details. They are the language of place, they are the voice of the moment, and your body, without effort, is listening. Let's follow the trail of scent deeper now, into the folds of memory where time folds gently around emotion. Because smell does not move in straight lines. It moves in spirals, in echoes, in loops. A scent you haven't known in years can return like a whisper, and suddenly you are back, not just thinking of the past, but feeling it. The scent of cinnamon might bring back a kitchen lit with morning light. The scent of salt might carry you to a beach where your feet first touched the ocean. These are not just memories. They are experiences revived through breath. And this revival is why scent is often called the memory sense. Inside the limbic system, where scent signals are sent, sits the hippocampus, the brain's archivist. It stores time, context, emotion, and right beside it lies the amygdala, keeper of fear, joy, sorrow. Smell travels straight to them. There is no translation, no delay. That's why scent can overwhelm you before you even know what it is. You may smell something and feel tears before you remember why. That's not weakness. It's your body remembering something important, something it loved or feared or lost. Smell also marks the seasons, the scent of leaves turning dry and crisp, the cold, clean sharpness of winter air, the soft sweetness of spring flowers, the dusty, warm scent of summer skin. Each shift in season carries its own bouquet of signals, and with those signals come feelings of returning, of change, of time moving forward while echoing what came before. Your nose, though quiet, is a keeper of the calendar. It tells you when the earth is turning. In families, scent becomes a kind of inheritance. The scent of a mother's scarf, a father's shaving cream, a grandmother's baking, these are passed down like songs, invisible but enduring. You may carry your family's scent in your clothes, in your sheets, in the corners of your home, and when you smell them, something in you settles. It's a reminder that you come from somewhere, that you belong to a chain of lives, each one breathing into the next. Even buildings have memories in scent. A school hallway, a library, a hospital. Each space holds a unique blend of air, materials, history, and your body remembers. You may step into a place and know, without knowing how, that you've been here before. That's not magic. That's memory, wrapped in molecules. Smell also connects us to culture. Spices, incense, herbs, they shape rituals, meals, ceremonies. The scent of cardamom in tea, or sandalwood in prayer, or garlic frying in oil, these are not just tastes or tasks. They are the language of heritage. And when you encounter them, even across oceans or years, your body recognizes the story. Your breath becomes part of something older, something that stretches beyond your own life. But scent is not only backward-looking, it shapes the present too. Certain scents calm the nervous system. Lavender, rose, chamomile. Others awaken alertness. Peppermint, citrus, pine. Your body responds before you think. A calming scent can lower your heart rate. A sharp one can bring clarity. Aromas can even change your perception of space and emotion. A room that smells warm feels safer. A place that smells sterile feels colder. The air you breathe tells your brain whether to soften or protect. And sometimes scent carries imagination. The scent of old books can make you feel like time has slowed. The scent of smoke can suggest a story, of firelight, of winter nights, of voices gathered close. These feelings are not found in the molecules themselves. They are born in the way scent weaves through your thoughts, connecting details into a mood, into an idea, into something more than physical. Smell becomes emotion shaped by air. Even in dreams, scent can appear. Though rare, when it does, it often carries strong feelings. Comfort, longing, fear. That's because it is tied so tightly to emotion. Your mind may not create scent as easily as images or sounds, but when it does so deeply. It pulls from memory in ways other senses cannot. In a dream, the scent of someone lost may return, soft and fleeting, and in that moment, your body remembers love. There is also a kind of poetry in shared scent. When people live together, their scents blend. Over time, a home takes on the smell of its people. It becomes familiar. Loved ones may not notice it, but it is there. A quiet scent that says, "This is our place. This is where we live, breathe, rest." That shared smell becomes part of your sense of safety, of identity. When it changes, you feel it, even if you can't say why. So as you breathe now, know that scent is not just passing through you. It's shaping how you feel, what you remember, what you carry. With every breath, your body gathers invisible threads from the air and weaves them into meaning. And even when you don't notice, your mind does. It listens, it stores, it remembers. Let this final part unfold like breath itself, slowly, gently, without effort. We've followed scent through time, memory, and emotion. Now we return to the stillness of the present, where smell becomes a guide not only to the past, but to being fully here. Because the gift of scent is not just that it reminds us where we've been, but that it deepens where we are. With every inhale, your body touches the world. With every exhale, it lets go. And in between, a kind of knowing settles quietly in your chest. Smell is always near. Unlike sight, it doesn't need distance. Unlike sound, it doesn't need vibration. It enters you directly, quietly, intimately. It asks nothing but a breath. You don't need to understand it for it to change you. The scent of bread rising in the oven may bring comfort after a long day. The scent of fresh earth may calm something in you that has no name. Even the scent of your own skin, warmed by sun or sleep, can feel like a returning, like remembering that you are here, that you belong. There's a reason so many rituals begin with scent. Lighting a candle, burning incense, steeping herbs. These are small actions, but they change the air. They prepare the body to pause, to reflect, to feel. Your nervous system listens, it slows, it softens. You feel safe enough to be still. Scent becomes more than smell. it becomes space, a space to rest, to think, to feel held. And when grief comes, as it does to every life, scent can carry us through. The shirt of someone lost, the pillow they once slept on. These objects may hold the echo of their presence longer than words ever could. You breathe in, and for a moment they are near, not in form, but in feeling. This is not imagination. It is the way scent bridges time, it doesn't forget. And through it, you're reminded that love, once breathed in, never fully leaves. Your sense of smell also adapts. It can become sharper with attention or duller with neglect. People who work with food, with flowers, with perfumes, they train their noses to detect the smallest shifts, the faintest notes. But even without training, your nose knows more than you think. It detects the difference between a loved one and a stranger, between a moment of peace and a moment of danger. It guides your body long before your thoughts catch up. In aging, the sense of smell may fade, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, and with that fading comes more than loss of pleasure. It can bring disconnection. Food becomes dull, memory becomes harder to reach, but the body remembers still. Even without the full range of scent, the emotions tied to it often remain. A soft comfort, a sudden ache, a calm that arrives without reason. These are sense footprints, still present even when the source is gone. And in moments of silence, scent can become the loudest sense. When the world quiets, when there's no music, no talking, no movement, the air itself becomes full. You smell the wood of your chair, the paper in your hand, the light scent of skin or soap. These are the small signs that you are alive, awake, placed gently inside a world that is always near, always breathing with you. Even in illness, the body uses scent. Some animals can smell disease before symptoms show. Some doctors once relied on breath and skin to diagnose. Your own body emits subtle signals all the time, hormonal, chemical, quiet. You may not notice them, but others might. We are always communicating, even without speaking, and scent is part of that silent language. When two people love each other, they often recognize each other by smell. The scent of a partner's pillow, the lingering trail left in a room. This is not only physical, it is emotional. It builds trust, it creates safety. A baby will calm at the scent of its parent. A lover will soften at the scent of home. These responses are not learned. They are written in the deep folds of the nervous system. Smell is how love makes itself known in the air. So as you close this chapter, take one soft breath. Let the air move through you without force. Notice whatever scent is closest. The quiet comfort of your room, the fading scent of something warm, the stillness of night. You are not alone in this space. The air is with you. The world is with you. Your body is listening. Smell is not a decoration. It is a guide. It reminds you of who you've been, where you are, and what matters most. It keeps you close to life, not in noise or light or sound, but in silence, in memory, in breath. It is how the world touches your heart, one invisible moment at a time. Taste begins not in the mouth, but in the moments that lead to it. In the scent of something warm, the memory of something shared, the comfort that rises at the thought of food. Even before your tongue is touched, your body is preparing. Saliva begins to flow. Muscles ready themselves. The brain, quiet and still, just moments before, begins to light up. Because eating is not just nourishment. It is memory. It is safety. It is the gentle promise of care. Your tongue is a soft, muscular organ that lives in the dark but speaks in flavour. It's more than a tool for chewing or speaking. It's a living surface covered in small bumps called papillae, which hold the taste buds. Each taste bud is a tiny world of receptors, able to detect the basic tastes: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. When food touches these receptors, it begins a silent conversation with your nervous system. What is this? Is it safe? Is it nourishing? Is it familiar? Sweetness tells your body this may give you energy. Salt says this may help your balance. Sour suggests ripeness or warning. Bitter may signal caution. Umami, the deep savoury taste, whispers of protein, of fullness, of warmth. These are not just flavours, they are messages, shaped by evolution, passed down through generations of lives that needed to taste well to live well. But taste is never just about the tongue. Your sense of smell works alongside it, giving depth and detail to flavour. That's why food tastes dull when you have a cold. The tongue knows the basics, but the nose paints the picture. Together they create richness. The warmth of cinnamon, the brightness of lemon, the earthiness of mushrooms. These are layered experiences, woven from scent and taste, texture and memory. Your brain also plays a part. It connects what you're tasting to what you felt before. The first time you taste strawberries may simply be sweetness. But if you taste them while sitting in sunlight, while someone you love is laughing nearby, that moment gets stored. And the next time you taste them, the laughter comes back. The sun, the warmth, taste becomes memory. A doorway into moments you didn't know you still held. Think of soup on a cold day, the way steam rises, scented and soft. The first spoonful is not just hot, it is soothing. It spreads through you, deeper than your stomach. It feels like care, like rest. This is what the tongue does, and it turns simple molecules into comfort, into belonging, into home. Even hunger shapes how things taste. When you are hungry, food becomes brighter, more intense. Your brain sharpens your senses, telling your body, this is what we need. When you are full, the same food softens. Its flavour is still there, but the urgency fades. Your body shifts from desire to contentment. Taste changes with need, showing that it's not fixed. It moves with your inner world. Texture is part of taste too. The crunch of a fresh apple, the creaminess of warm milk, the snap of a crust. Your tongue feels all of this. It knows smooth from rough, thick from thin. It helps you chew, swallow, enjoy. And through that, it sends signals of satisfaction, fullness, peace. Eating becomes more than filling the stomach. It becomes a kind of grounding, a return to self. And taste, like all senses, begins early. Even in the womb, babies swallow amniotic fluid, flavoured by what the mother eats. They begin to learn taste before they're born. After birth, breast milk or formula becomes the first language of flavour, sweet, warm, familiar. This early relationship with taste is more than biology. It's bonding, it's safety, it's love delivered through nourishment. In childhood, taste becomes exploration. New textures, strong flavours, foods that spark curiosity or resistance. Some things must be learned slowly. Others are loved instantly. These early experiences shape not just what you enjoy, but how you feel about eating. Whether it's rushed or relaxed, solitary or shared, joyful or quiet. Taste writes stories on the tongue that the heart never quite forgets. So the next time you eat, pause before the first bite. Notice the scent rising, the colour, the shape. Let your body remember that eating is not a task, but a ritual, a conversation between food and self. Let the first taste settle gently. Let the flavours unfold slowly. And know that in this simple act, your body is not just surviving. It is listening. It is feeling. It is receiving the quiet taste of life. Let's drift deeper into the world of taste, where each flavour carries more than sensation. It carries a story. Because the food you eat is not just a collection of nutrients, it is a memory made solid. The tongue remembers things the mind forgets. A childhood dish, a holiday sweet, a meal eaten on a day you thought would never end. These memories return not through thought, but through taste, rising up as if no time has passed. You take a bite and suddenly you are there again, at the table, in the warmth, held by something gentle and unseen. Inside your mouth, taste doesn't happen alone. It's shaped by everything around it. The temperature of the food, the way it feels, even the sound it makes as you chew. Your brain weaves all of it into one experience. A crisp apple is not just tart, it's sharp, cool, refreshing. A bowl of stew is not only savoury in its thick, warm grounding. The tongue receives molecules, but the mind receives meaning. And the meaning changes depending on when and where you taste. A simple bread roll can taste like comfort if you're hungry, like memory if you're far from home, or like nothing at all if you're distracted. That's because taste is tied to attention. When you eat slowly, with presence, flavours stretch. They deepen. They reveal layers that rush would have hidden. But when you eat without noticing, the moment is lost. Your body may be fed, but not touched. This is why rituals matter. Sitting down, breathing, savouring the first bite. These small acts are not just manners, they are ways of honouring the sense of taste, of letting it be more than a reflex, of letting it become a moment of grounding. In busy lives, where noise often fills every space, the act of tasting becomes a quiet form of mindfulness, a pause, a breath taken with the body, not just the lungs. Taste also links you to others. Meals shared bring more than nutrition, they bring belonging. Across cultures, food is language. It says, you are welcome. It says, you are part of this. Whether it's a family dinner, a celebration, or a quiet cup of tea with a friend, the flavours become tied to feeling. You may not remember every word spoken, but you remember the taste, the warmth, the presence. That's how taste becomes emotional memory. Subtle, lasting, true, and taste connects you to place. Each region of the world has its own flavour map, shaped by soil, sun, tradition. The sweetness of mango in the heat, the saltiness of olives near the sea, the bitterness of greens in cold air. These tastes don't only feed you, they root you. They remind you where you are, and often where you came from. Even long after you've left a place, the memory of its food can bring it back in a breath. Your body also listens to taste. When you crave something sour, it may be asking for balance. When you want something sweet, it may need comfort. Cravings are not just whims, they are signals. And while not every craving should be answered, many deserve to be heard because taste is a language the body uses to speak its needs, its hungers, its longing to feel whole. Long before you ever knew the word for sound, your body already knew how to hear it. Not just with your ears, but with your whole being. It begins in silence, in a quiet so deep you might mistake it for nothingness. But inside that quiet, the world waits to sing. The rustle of wind, the patter of rain, the soft hum of a mother's voice. All of these are part of a hidden symphony your ears have always known how to find. Your ears are not just openings on the side of your head, they are instruments, carefully shaped, finely tuned, ancient in design. The outer ear curves like a tiny cup, catching sound waves as they float through the air. These waves are invisible, like ripples in a pond you cannot see, and yet they carry the voices of the world. As the waves travel inward, they reach the eardrum, a soft, thin membrane stretched like a gentle drumhead. When sound touches it, the drum begins to dance, and with each small movement, a message is born. This message doesn't stay here. It's passed along 3 tiny bones, the smallest in your whole body. They have names, malleus, incus, and stapes, but they don't need names to do their work. They simply move like dancers in a row, sending the signal deeper, deeper into you. Beyond these bones lies the cochlea, a spiral tucked safely inside the inner ear. It looks like a seashell curled and glistening. Inside the cochlea, something magical happens. Fluid waves move through it, stirring thousands of tiny hair-like cells. These aren't hairs like on your head. These are more like reeds in a field, swaying gently with each ripple. And with every movement, they create something new, an electrical signal, one your brain understands. But hearing isn't just about sound, it's about meaning. Somewhere in your brain, far from your ears, this signal is transformed into something you can know, a word, a bird song, the voice of someone you love. It all becomes part of your inner world. Your ears catch the signal, but your mind makes the music. Even before birth, your ears begin their work. In the womb, a baby hears muffled echoes, the rhythm of a mother's heartbeat, the whisper of fluid, the world from underwater, and after birth, that quiet world bursts open. The cry of the first breath, the lullaby in the dark, the laughter that feels like sunlight. Your ears never stop listening. Even when you sleep, they stay awake, waiting to catch something important, a sudden noise, a name, a story in the wind. That's why certain sounds can wake you, why your favourite song can bring tears, why the hush of a forest or the distant roll of thunder can feel like a memory you forgot you had. Sound wraps itself around us in waves, and we absorb it in ways we don't always notice. Through bones, through fluid, through hair cells and neurons, it becomes not just what we hear, but what we feel, what we remember, what we understand without thinking. Now imagine this, standing alone in the night, no voices, no machines, only wind rustling leaves, an owl calling far away. You close your eyes, stillness surrounds you, and then softly you hear it, the gentle living breath of the world. That is the music of being alive. That is what your ears were made to hear. Let's drift deeper now into the quiet heart of hearing, because sound doesn't just arrive at your ears and end there. It travels, it weaves, It settles into the folds of your life like a story softly told. Inside your brain, a whole orchestra begins to play the moment sound enters. Signals move like notes across tiny pathways, lighting up regions that remember, feel, and react. It's not a straight line, it's a dance. One part of your brain asks, "What is this?" Another asks, "Where did it come from?" And yet another wonders, "Have I heard this before?" This process is so seamless you rarely notice it. The clink of a spoon in a cup, the creak of the floor, the way someone says your name, all of it flows through a system built to filter, organize, and feel. Your brain doesn't just hear sounds, it listens. It chooses what to focus on, what to ignore, what to keep as memory. That's why you can hear someone whisper in a noisy room if they say something that matters to you. Your brain is always curating sound, as if building an invisible museum of your moments. But hearing is not the same for everyone. Some people are born with ears that cannot catch sound the same way. And yet their brains still long for music, still understand rhythm. Through touch, through vibration, even through sight, the mind finds ways to sense what it misses. That's because sound is more than just pressure waves. It's emotion, it's energy, it's connection. You don't just hear with ears, you hear with your being. Consider how your body reacts to sound. A loud bang can make your heart race. A lullaby can make your muscles soften. This isn't imagination, it is biology. Your nervous system responds to the shape and tone of what you hear. A gentle melody can slow your breath. A sudden noise can trigger alertness. Your ears are deeply wired into your survival, into your safety. Even before language, our ancestors listened to the crack of twigs, the call of a bird, the hush that meant something was near. Hearing was a way to stay alive, but beyond survival, sound became beauty. Humans learned to mimic the wind, to beat rhythms like a heartbeat, to create flutes from bones, drums from stretched hide, songs from memory. Music was born, and with it something sacred. Across every culture, music rose not just as entertainment, but as a way of healing, of prayer, of joy. Your ears carry that history, the ancient knowledge that a sound can lift your spirit or soothe your soul. Inside your cochlea, each hair cell is tuned to a specific frequency, like keys on a piano. Some respond to high sounds, others to deep ones. As you age, some of these keys stop playing. High notes become harder to hear, but the brain learns to adapt, to fill in gaps, to remember the shape of a voice even when it fades. That's how powerful hearing is. It doesn't give up. It finds ways to hold on to what matters. And it's not just outside sound you hear. Your own body hums with noise, the pulse in your veins, the breath in your chest, the quiet shifting of bones. Most of the time, your brain filters these out so you're not overwhelmed. But they're always there, a quiet background score to your existence. Sometimes in silence, you can even hear your heartbeat. That's the music inside you, the song of your living body. In the still moments of life, early morning or just before sleep, sound becomes something different. It stretches, softens, becomes more tender. A dripping tap, a distant bird, a passing breeze. These small sounds enter more deeply, filling spaces you didn't know were empty. And you realize, hearing is not just about alertness. It's about presence. It's how your body welcomes the world in. Imagine now a child lying in bed, eyes closed, the soft tick of a clock nearby. Outside, the wind moves gently through the trees. Inside, the world narrows to those quiet sounds. Each one becomes a thread weaving comfort, safety, wonder. That's what your ears offer every day. Not just warning, not just noise, but quiet gifts of connection. To others, to time, to yourself. Now let the story slow even more. Let it settle like evening light across a quiet field. We've heard how sound enters, how it travels, how it stirs the mind. But in this final part, we rest in what it means, because sound is not only information, it is feeling, memory, longing. It is how the world speaks to you, and how you sometimes speak back, even without words. In the hush of early morning, when the house is still, you might hear the gentle creak of the walls, the distant murmur of a bird beyond the glass. These are not grand sounds, but they are familiar. They are pieces of your life placed gently into the day. Think of the voices that live in your memory. Maybe a parent's lullaby. Maybe the echo of laughter shared long ago. These sounds are no longer in the air, yet somehow they still exist. That's the quiet magic of hearing. Your ears receive, your brain records, and your heart holds on. Long after a person is gone, their voice may still return, in dreams, in silence, in a sudden whisper of memory. Sound becomes part of who you are. There is a kind of tenderness in hearing. A child listening to rain, an old man humming a forgotten tune, a woman pausing to hear the wind move through leaves. These are soft moments, but they shape us. They remind us we are not alone, that the world has a pulse, a breath, a voice of its own, that nature too sings, not with words but with rhythm and presence. Crickets at night, waves at the shore, the sigh of wind in pine trees. Your ears are always listening to the world's quiet conversations, and in return you add your own sound. You speak, you sing, you laugh, you cry. These are waves too, born from you, carried into the world, and someone else's ears receive them. They feel your joy, your sorrow, your truth. In this way sound connects us, even when we don't touch, even when we don't see each other. Just hearing someone's voice can calm fear, awaken love, or say goodbye. It is a bridge, invisible but strong. As we grow older, we begin to understand this more, that a soft word can mean more than a loud one, that silence, shared gently, can be its own kind of music, that listening is a form of love, not just hearing, but really listening. Listening to someone's pauses, their quiet hesitations, their rhythm, listening to the world when it asks nothing of you, when it just wants to be known. Imagine now a forest in winter. The snow muffles everything. You walk quietly, your footsteps soft against the ground. No birds call, no wind stirs, and yet somehow you hear something, a kind of stillness that speaks, a sound that is more than noise. It is the shape of peace. Your ears, even in such silence, remain open, attuned, alive. They listen for life, and life always answers in its own way. Even in the deep sea where sunlight never reaches, animals call to each other with pulses and clicks. Even in space, though silent to human ears, stars send out waves, and planets hum. The universe itself is full of sound, a sound we may not always hear, but which shapes the cosmos. The same way your own inner soundscape, your heartbeat, your breath, your voice, shapes you. So the next time you pause to listen, truly listen, know this. Your ears are not just hearing tools. They are portals, they are gifts, they are ancient, delicate instruments that allow you to connect with everything outside and everything within. The world is always speaking, and your body was made to understand it. In waves, in whispers, in rhythm, in quiet. Let that final thought stay with you. Let it settle gently into your mind. Somewhere right now, a breeze moves through trees. A bird calls once, then is silent. And you, simply by listening, become part of it. The music in your ears is not separate from the world. It is the world coming close, leaning in and saying softly, "You're here, you belong, you're listening." Long before you learned the names of colours, your body knew how to gather light. Before you opened your first picture book or watched the sky shift from blue to gold, your eyes had already begun their quiet work. Sight is not loud, it doesn't demand attention, but it is constant, gentle, always watching. From the moment light touches your skin in the morning to the moment darkness closes the day, your eyes are open windows to the world's quiet beauty. Light is not a thing you can hold, it's not something you can catch in your hands, but it moves, endlessly in waves. These waves are tiny and fast, travelling through space until they find something, a wall, a tree, a face, and bounce. Some of that light reaches your eyes, slips through the curved glass of your cornea, and enters the soft, dark centre of your seeing. Inside, a lens focuses the light like a painter mixing colour. The world outside turns into a gentle blur of shape and glow, all of it filtered inward. And at the back of your eye, in the curved shell called the retina, the magic begins. There, nestled in layers so thin you could barely see them, live tiny cells called rods and cones. These are your light readers. They take invisible waves and turn them into colour, contrast, depth, a story you can see. Rods are quiet watchers. They work best in the dark, helping you find shapes when light is low. Cones are artists. They respond to bright light and give you the richness of reds, the calm of blues, the warmth of yellows. Every colour you've ever known came from their silent work. a sunset, a leaf, the soft skin of a peach. Your eyes receive these gifts and whisper their meaning to your mind. But your eyes don't work alone. The moment they capture light, they send signals rushing through the optic nerve, a bundle of more than 1,000,000 tiny wires that carry sight into your brain. This journey happens in a blink, yet inside your mind it becomes something grand. Light turns into meaning. A friend's face, a distant star, the way morning shines through trees. Your eyes offer the raw material, your brain creates the picture. Even more magical is how your brain fills in the gaps. There's a spot in your eye, the blind spot, where no image forms. But you never see it, because your brain gently paints over the hole. It guesses, it smooths, it imagines. It makes sure you always see a full world, even when part of it is missing. That's how well your body understands what you need, not just to see, but to believe in what you see. Vision is more than clarity. It's memory. It's emotion. When you see a photo of a place you once loved, your heart may stir. Not because of the pixels, but because of what they unlock. Light enters the eye, but it touches more than your retina. It reaches your story. A flicker of candlelight may bring comfort. A splash of colour may bring joy. The glow of a loved one's smile may soften a hard day. Light carries feeling. Sight carries meaning. Think of the sky at dusk. The way the sun disappears not all at once, but in layers. Blue to purple to pink. No one teaches you to feel wonder at this, but your eyes understand. They know how to slow down, how to take in the shifting colours and pass them gently to your heart. Seeing isn't just receiving light, it's holding it, breathing with it, letting it change you. And even in darkness, your eyes are not blind. They adjust, they stretch. Pupils widen like a gate, letting in what little light there is. Rods awaken, shadows become clearer, shapes return, the stars above, once hidden, step forward. Your eyes are built not just for daytime beauty, but for nighttime wonder too. They help you find the moon, track fireflies, see your own reflection in a pond lit only by starlight. Your eyes are not cameras. They are living organs, soft and moist and ever-changing. They tire, they blink, they tear up, not just to clean or protect, but to express. Tears of joy, tears of sadness, they're a part of seeing too. Vision is not just a tool, it's a feeling, a mirror. A quiet conversation between the world and your soul. So next time you open your eyes in the morning, before the day hurries in, pause. Let the light touch you softly. Let colour return. Let shape and space remind you that you are alive and looking and part of something wider than yourself. The sky is not just above you. It lives inside your eyes every time you choose to see. Let's drift deeper into the mystery of seeing. Because vision is not only about what your eyes receive, it's about what your brain creates. Light touches your retina. Yes, but that's only the beginning. From there, a soft storm of electricity flows backward, into the folds of your brain, into a place behind your head called the visual cortex. That is where seeing truly begins. Your mind unwraps the signals, colours them, sharpens them, and fits them into memory. What starts as light becomes understanding. And this understanding is deeply personal. Two people can look at the same sky and feel different things. One may see the fading sun and feel peace. Another may feel longing. This is because your eyes gather information, but your memories decide what it means. The sight of a sunflower might remind you of a summer day, of laughter, of home. That's not in the light itself. That's in you. You don't just see the world, you shape it with every glance. And think of faces. Your brain is specially wired to recognize them. Even from birth, a baby will turn toward a human face. We are drawn to eyes, to smiles, to expressions. When you see someone you love, your pupils widen without you knowing. Your eyes respond with more than sight. They respond with emotion. That's why a single glance can comfort, or hurt, or heal. The eyes are not only windows, they are mirrors too. They reflect what's inside, and they are storytellers. Every day your eyes scan 1,000 details. A leaf drifting down a quiet road. A crack in the sidewalk shaped like a river. A child's drawing taped to a window. You may not remember them all, but they form the background music of your day. They help you feel that the world is moving, living, full. They let you know you're not alone, that even when no one speaks, the world is speaking. So in colour, in shape, in shadow, Even illusions, those strange tricks of light and brain, remind us how much we create in our minds. Sometimes two lines of the same length can look different, just because of how they're placed. A still image may appear to move. These are not flaws. They are signs of how deeply your brain tries to understand. It works with patterns, guesses, and experience. It fills in gaps, smooths edges, tells a story from incomplete pieces, and most of the time you never notice. Because your mind wants to give you the gift of a whole world. But what happens when vision fades? What if eyes cannot see as they once did? Here too the brain shows its wonder. For those who lose sight, other senses become sharper. Hearing, touch, smell, though, they step forward. And inside the mind, pictures still bloom. People who cannot see often dream in images. They build mental maps, recognize spaces by sound and still sense beauty. The brain does not give up on vision. It simply finds another path. Light itself is part of what keeps you healthy. When sunlight touches your skin, it helps make vitamin D. But when it touches your eyes, especially in the morning, it helps set your inner clock. You begin to feel awake. You sleep better later. Your mood lifts. This connection between the eyes and your sense of time is strong. Even a small dose of morning light can shift your entire rhythm. That's why the first light of day feels so gentle and kind. It is your body remembering how to begin. And inside your eyes, the lens shifts shape constantly to keep focus clear. Muscles pull and release, adjusting for distance. When you read, when you look up, when you turn, your eyes adjust without thought. They also move together, tracking objects, holding steady. A small tremble called a microsecond helps prevent images from fading. Without this motion, the world would blur. But your eyes, even at rest, are always moving, always working quietly. There is also a pigment in your eyes named melanin, which helps protect from too much light. It gives colour to your iris, the part of your eye that surrounds the pupil. Brown, blue, green, these colours are more than appearance. They are part of your body's way of managing the world's brightness. And the way your eyes adjust to light, narrowing the pupil in sun, widening it in shadow, is like a breath, in and out, always responsive, always alive. So when you sit by a window and watch rain slide down the glass, or when you see the golden edge of a cloud, know that something extraordinary is happening. Light, born in the heart of a star, has travelled across space, through time, bounced off matter, entered your eyes, and become part of your understanding. You're not separate from this. You're part of it. You're seeing the world, and the world is seeing you back. Now let the story come to rest, slowly, like evening light settling into the folds of a quiet room. We've followed light as it moves from stars to earth, through air and into your eyes, where it turns into meaning and memory. But vision is not only about seeing what is there. Sometimes it's about sensing what isn't. It's about noticing the shadows, the soft places between things, the way a face changes in thought, the way light bends around a moment. Sight is how your body reaches out without moving. It's how you hold the world without touching it. There are moments in life when your eyes catch something simple, a leaf falling, the steam from a morning cup, a child's hand reaching for yours, and somehow that moment becomes everything. Your eyes give you this gift again and again, often without your asking. They bring the world to you gently through movement, colour, and quiet detail. Vision becomes not just function, but wonder, not just recognition, but reflection. Consider the soft light before dawn. The sky isn't black, but not yet blue. It's a space between, a gentle hush that the eyes alone can witness. This time of day has a stillness that words cannot hold. Your eyes notice it without being told. They understand that this in-between place is part of the world's rhythm, a pause, a breath, before things begin again. Seeing is also sensing time, not as numbers on a clock, but as the movement of light across the skin of the earth. And when the world overwhelms, when noise and colour feel too much, your eyes can offer rest. Closing them is not just about sleep, it's about returning inward. Even with your eyes shut, your brain paints images. You remember, you imagine, you dream. This shows that vision is not just a way to receive the world, it's a way to create one. Your mind builds scenes, places, stories, pictures that have never existed outside you. Your inner world is painted with the same brush that receives the outer one. There's something deeply human in this, a child who draws with crayons, an artist who watches shadows stretch across a canvas, a person who gazes out the window and feels the shape of longing. These acts are all tied to vision. Seeing helps us make sense of what we feel. It gives us symbols. It gives us light to hold in the dark. And sometimes that's all we need. Not answers, but the calm presence of beauty, seen and felt. Even blindness, though it may seem like the absence of sight, is not the absence of understanding. Many who cannot see with eyes still feel the shape of the world, through sound, through touch, through intuition. They form images in the mind, detailed and real. Their world is no less vibrant, it is simply received in different ways. Vision, then, is not limited to the eyes. It is a deeper form of knowing. The sky is a perfect reminder of this. You look up and see blue, but the blue isn't really there. It's how your eyes and brain interpret scattered light. The colours of a sunset, the shimmer of water, the pale glow of the moon, they are interpretations, beautiful ones. Your eyes don't just show you the truth, they show you your version of it. That's why what you see feels so personal, so meaningful, because it is. And in the end, vision's connection, a look exchanged between friends, a stranger's glance that tells a whole story, the way a parent watches their child sleep. These are not just moments, they are bonds, all silent and strong. Eyes speak without sound. They say, I see you. They say, I understand. They say, you matter. And in a world that often moves too fast, that kind of seeing is the kind of love. So the next time you open your eyes, whether to the soft morning or the deep night, remember this. Light has travelled a great distance to reach you. It has moved across space and time to meet your gaze. And you, by simply looking, become part of its journey. You catch the light, you hold it, you give it meaning, and in that simple act you remember what it means to be awake, to be present, to be beautifully, quietly alive. Before you spoke your first word, before you opened your eyes to light or leaned into sound, you knew the world through touch. It was the first language your body learned. In the quiet space of the womb, your skin felt warmth, motion, rhythm, the gentle shifts of a mother's breath, the pulse of her heartbeat, the steady embrace of safety. You were touched into life, and ever since your skin has been listening. Your skin is not just a covering, it is your largest organ, alive with awareness. It stretches around you like a soft, intelligent shield, thin in some places, thick in others, but everywhere filled with nerves. Inside it live tiny messengers, millions of them, each one designed to detect something different. There are cells for warmth and cold, for pain and pressure, for the lightest brush of a fingertip. These signals move faster than thought, and racing through nerves to your brain, where they are read like a kind of braille. And just like that, a touch becomes a story. Imagine a breeze brushing your cheek. You don't see it, you don't hear it, but your skin knows it's there. It registers the coolness, the direction, the softness. It doesn't need words. Your body translates it into feeling. Comfort, stillness, maybe even memory, because every touch, no matter how small, carries meaning, a fingerprint of the moment. When a baby is held, their whole nervous system settles. The heartbeat slows, the breath deepens, the muscles soften. That's not magic, that's biology. Touch releases chemicals in the brain, oxytocin, endorphins, that create peace, connection, warmth. It is the language of care, and not just for babies. A hand on a shoulder, a hug, a gentle pat. These moments shape our sense of safety, of being seen. Your skin remembers them long after they pass. And not all touch is the same. Some is protective, like the way your hand jerks away from something hot before your mind even realizes it's burning. This is your body's reflex, its way of keeping you safe. The signal travels not to the brain, but only to the spinal cord and back, faster than conscious thought. Then there's informative touch, the way you feel texture, shape, vibration. It helps you find your way in the dark, recognize objects without looking, feel your place in space. Your skin is your guide when eyes and ears are silent. But perhaps most powerful of all is emotional touch. Think of how a soft blanket can comfort you, how a cool cloth can soothe a fever, how a loved one's hand held for just a moment can ease fear. These touches are not loud, they don't make a sound. but they speak directly to your nervous system, telling it, "You're sere, you're home, you matter." That message is ancient, older than language, and it flows through your skin like a whispered lullaby. Your fingertips are especially sensitive, home to some of the highest concentrations of nerve endings in the body. That's why you reach out with your hands. You explore the world not just to grasp, but to know, to understand, to feel textures, the smoothness of glass, the roughness of bark, the warmth of another person's palm. These sensations build a map in your mind. They tell you where you are and what the world is made of. And touch is not only something you receive, it's something you give. Your skin sends messages outward too, through the warmth of your hand, the tension of a muscle, the softness of a touch. Without a word, you can say, "I'm here." You can say, "I care." You can say, "This is real." In a world full of sound and motion, sometimes the quietest things are a single touch and speaks loudest. So much of life passes through the skin, a raindrop on your forehead, the press of sand beneath bare feet, the weight of a coat on your shoulders, the ache of tired muscles, the tingle of cold air. These are not just sensations, they are stories. They are the world entering you, moment by moment, through this living boundary of self. Your skin is always aware, always responding. It swells when injured. It flushes when you're embarrassed. It tightens in fear. It shivers in awe. It stretches as you grow. It heals when torn. It forms scars, but even then, it remembers. The way a story leaves a mark on a page. And through it all you feel, you know, you connect. So pause for a moment now. Let your hands rest on your lap. Feel the fabric beneath your fingers, the air on your face, the rhythm of your breath brushing against your lips. These small sensations are not distractions. They are reminders. You're alive, you're connected. You are listening, not with ears, but with skin. Let's move more gently now, deeper into the quiet world beneath your skin. Because while touch begins at the surface, its meaning reaches far beneath. Every part of you, every toe, every fingertip, every inch of your back is mapped inside your brain. There's a place in your mind called the somatosensory cortex, and it holds a layout of your body that's shaped not by bones, but by sensation. The parts that feel the most, on your lips, your fingers, your face, take up the most space in this inner map. It's not about size, it's about feeling. Your brain pays attention to where the world speaks the loudest, and it listens all the time. Even when you're not aware, your skin is sending messages. The soft pull of gravity, the temperature of the air, the brush of clothing against your arms. Most of it never reaches your conscious thoughts. Your brain filters what you need to know and lets the rest drift quietly away. But that background awareness, that endless, gentle contact between body and world, is always there, shaping how safe or alert or calm you feel. Touch is the only sense that is always present. You can close your eyes, cover your ears, stop your nose or tongue, but you cannot turn off your skin. It is with you always, whispering information in a language older than words. And through it, you learn not just facts about your surroundings, but truths about your life. You learn what it means to be close, what it means to be hurt, what it means to be held. Consider the way skin responds to temperature. It expands and contracts, warms and cools, always trying to protect the core of you. When it's cold, blood vessels narrow to keep heat inside. When it's hot, they widen to let warmth escape. Sweat rises, evaporates, cools you like morning mist. All of this happens without thought and your body adjusting its outer layer like a living coat. It keeps your inner world steady, even when the outer one shifts. And then there's pain. Often misunderstood, often feared, yet so essential. Pain is your body's alarm bell. It tells you when something is wrong, when something needs attention. It can be sharp, dull, burning, aching, and each type with its own message. It's not just a warning, it's a guide. It helps you move carefully. It helps you heal. Even when pain lingers after an injury, it can be your body's way of saying, remember this, protect this part of you. It's a hard kind of wisdom, but still a form of care. But not all pain is physical. Emotional pain, grief, loneliness, heartbreak. These also show themselves through the skin. A tight chest, a heavy body, a lack of appetite, even chills or fever. Your body doesn't separate emotional touch from physical touch. To the nervous system, it's all one language. A lost hug can feel like a wound. An unspoken goodbye can echo like an ache. Your skin knows sorrow, and yet it also knows comfort. Touch, when given with care, can heal. A hand on your back, a blanket wrapped around your shoulders, a pet curled beside you. These are more than gestures. They are medicine. They tell the nervous system to relax. They invite the breath to slow. They say, without needing to say it, you are not alone. That's the deepest message of touch. Connection to self, to others, to the quiet life moving around and within you. And sometimes touch becomes memory. The feeling of a childhood blanket, the shape of a hand you used to hold, the texture of a favourite shirt, the coolness of sand under bare feet. These sensations live in your body long after the moment has passed. You don't just remember with your mind, and you remember with your skin. And when those memories return, they can feel as real as the day they happened. That is the power of touch. It anchors us in time. Your skin is also a storyteller of identity. Through it, you express who you are. The way you style your hair, the jewellery you wear, the clothes you choose, even tattoos, freckles, scars. They are not just marks. They are parts of your history. Your skin shows your journey, your choices, your culture. It carries the shape of your life, written in textures only you can fully understand. And underneath the surface, new skin is always being made. Old cells rise and fall away. New ones grow quietly and steadily. Your skin renews itself every few weeks. This soft armour that carries you is not static. It is alive, adapting, always becoming new. Even in sleep, even in silence, your body tends to itself. It repairs, it breathes, it listens. So take a moment now. Let your awareness move across your body. Notice what is warm, what is cool. Notice where your skin touches the world, the chair beneath you, the air around your arms. This is life. Not rushing, not shouting, just being, a steady kind, alive. Your skin is here, always speaking. All you have to do is listen. Let this final part unfold like a hand opening, slowly, gently in the light. We've followed touch from the surface of the skin to the deep centre of feeling. Now we come to rest in the quiet truth it offers, that to touch is to be touched in return. Every time your hand meets the world meets you back. And this meeting is not small, it is sacred. It is how we understand we are here. When someone holds your hand, it's not just warmth you feel, it's presence. It's the weight of another life beside yours. This simple act, fingers folded together, speaks more than words can say. I'm with you, I see you, I'm not letting go. Your skin listens to this. It holds the memory even after the hand is gone. That's the thing about touch. It stays. Even now you carry the memory of touches long past. The soft towel from childhood, the feeling of grass on bare feet, the comfort of being rocked to sleep. These moments are woven into your nervous system. They shaped your sense of safety. They told you what it means to belong. You may not recall them clearly, but your body does. And because of that, your skin reacts when kindness returns. A hug, a caress, a warm blanket tucked around you. These are not small things, they are anchors, holding you steady in a world that often moves too fast. Touch also connects you to the natural world. When you lie on the earth, the weight of your body presses into soil, into grass, into stone. And in return, the earth holds you. The wind brushes your cheek. Water moves around your feet. The sun warms your back. These are silent conversations, but they are real. Your skin doesn't ask for words. It understands contact, texture, temperature. It knows when something is alive, and it knows when something means care. Even when you are alone, touch can comfort. Wrapping your arms around yourself, pressing your palms together, lying beneath a weighted blanket. These are ways your body reminds itself, I am here, I am whole, I am safe. You do not always need another person to feel the gift of touch. Your own hands, your own breath, your own stillness, these can be enough. They can return you to the centre of yourself. As you age, the skin changes, it thins, it softens, it bears the marks of time, wrinkles, spots, scars. These are not flaws, they are the signs of a life that has been felt deeply. Every line is a path the world has walked across you. Every freckle, every crease is a memory pressed into flesh. You are not fading, you are becoming more known, more textured, more complete. And though we live in a world where touch is sometimes distant, where hands stay apart, where screens replace closeness, your need for touch does not leave you. It is a quiet longing that remains beneath the surface. It waits in the background. It waits for kindness, for softness, for the return of contact that says, I know you're here. When someone brushes your hair, when a child leans against your side, when a friend holds your hand in grief, these moments are not background, they are everything. They say, I will carry some of your weight. They say, you're not alone in this. And through your skin, those messages become part of you. They travel into your heart, your breath, your sense of peace. Even science has shown that people who experience regular, loving touch often live longer. Their bodies heal faster. Their minds are calmer. Their sleep is deeper. Because touch doesn't just soothe the skin, it soothes the soul. It tells every cell, you are cared for, you matter, you are home. So now, as you sit here quietly, bring your attention back to your skin. Feel the pulse in your fingers, the softness of the air on your cheek, the weight of your body where it rests. This is your moment. This is your place in the world. No matter what has been taken, no matter what is missing, your skin still listens. Your skin still holds you. And in that stillness, if you listen closely, you may feel it. Not just sensation, but a presence, a connection deeper than thought, a reminder that you are here, that you are whole, that even without a single word, your body is speaking, and the world is listening. Before the world had language, before thoughts were shaped into words, there was scent, carried by the wind, rising from the earth, clinging to skin and leaves and stone. It has always been there. Your body was made to recognize it. Long before you understood what a memory was, your nose was already collecting them. The scent of your mother's skin, the milk-warm breath of the morning, the softness of a blanket that always smelled like sleep. Smell is the oldest sense, quiet, hidden, but powerful, and it never forgets. The journey of scent begins with a breath. You inhale, and air flows in through your nose, carrying with it tiny molecules too small to see. These molecules drift into a delicate space behind your eyes called the olfactory epithelium. There, floating above a thin layer of mucus, are receptors, fragile hair-like endings that respond to shape, vibration, and chemical pattern. Each one is tuned to a particular type of smell, like instruments waiting for their note. And when the right molecule finds its match, it binds. The signal is sent. The brain awakens, but this signal doesn't follow the same path as sight or sound. Smell travels differently, straight to the limbic system, the part of your brain that governs memory and emotion. There is no waiting room, no filter. The moment you smell something familiar, it arrives whole, instant, alive. That's why a single breath of perfume, a hint of smoke, or the scent of old paper can take you back in time without warning. Smell is not just a sense, it's a doorway. And just as taste can bring joy, it can also carry sorrow. There are flavors tied to grief, meals once shared with someone no longer here, foods that bring tears instead of comfort. These are hard, but they are part of the story too. They remind us that taste is not always about pleasure. Sometimes it's about remembering, about feeling the shape of what once was and holding it for just a moment longer. Over time, your sense of taste changes. What was too bitter as a child may become rich and complex. What was once too strong may now be just right. This shift is not loss, it is growth. Your body, your tongue, your brain, they are always changing, always learning, always adjusting the map of what flavor means. And with each change comes new possibility, new ways of finding joy in a world that is never still. So the next time you eat something familiar, notice how it lands on your tongue. Does it taste the same, or has something shifted? Do you feel something in your chest as well as your mouth? Taste is not only for the tongue, it is for the heart, for the breath, for the quiet part of you that still remembers what it means to be nourished, not just with food, but with presence, with care, with memory made edible. Now let the story come to rest, slowly and warmly, like the last spoonful of something loved. Taste at its heart is not only a sense, it is a way of being close to life. It is how the world enters you and becomes part of you. Each bite is a bridge, a moment where you and the world meet, and something unseen is exchanged. Not just energy, not just nourishment, but feeling, meaning, memory wrapped in molecules, resting softly on the tongue. Your tongue, so small and ordinary seeming, is always working. Even now, at rest, it moves gently, testing the air, preparing itself to taste again. And when it does more than to respond. It listens. It listens to texture, to warmth, to sweetness and bitterness and salt. And then it tells your brain a story. This is good. This is rich. This is safe. Or sometimes this is too sharp, too strange, too much. And your body reacts, pulling back or softening or reaching again. Taste is a sense of trust. Every time you eat, your body must decide, let this in, allow this to become part of me. And when the food is known, loved, welcomed, something beautiful happens. The nervous system calms, the breath steadies, the heart slows. This is why we turn to food in celebration, in sorrow, in silence, not because hunger always lives in the stomach, but because hunger lives in the heart too, and taste, when it's right, answers that hunger. There is a kind of stillness in good food, not the rush of fast flavour, but the slow unfolding of something real. A stew simmered for hours, bread still warm from the oven, tea steeped patiently, fragrant and gentle. These are not just meals, they are moments of presence, of being in your body, in your place, in your time. The world does not ask you to rush when you taste, it asks you to receive. Even when you eat alone, you are not truly alone. The food holds stories of hands that grew it, harvested it, prepared it. A tomato carries the sun, a grain of rice carries water and soil and time, a fruit carries the tree, the season, the care it was given. When you taste, you are tasting connection to land, to life, to labour unseen but felt. Your tongue knows this, even if your mind forgets. And sometimes, taste is healing. A warm broth during illness, a favourite dish after a long day, a piece of fruit that tastes like hope. These are not luxuries. They are care, made real. Food doesn't just feed, it comforts, it reminds. It says, you're still here, you're still human, you still deserve sweetness. In aging, taste may fade, but its echoes remain. Even when flavours dull, the shape of them lingers, the feel of warm soup, the crispness of an apple, the memory of spice. And for many, these echoes are enough. They keep the connection alive, reminding the body of what it has known, of what it still loves. And in the very end of life, when other senses dim, when light and sound no longer arrive as they once did, sometimes a single taste remains. A spoon of honey, a sip of cool water, a favourite flavour on the tongue. These last touches are often remembered not for how they tasted, but for how they felt, grounding, human, real. Taste, even at the edge of goodbye, brings us back to ourselves. So let your next meal, however simple, be received as more than food. Let it be a moment of noticing. Let it be a moment of returning to your breath, to your body, to the world that still offers sweetness. You do not need a feast. You need presence. You need warmth. You need a tongue willing to listen and a heart willing to feel. Because in the end, taste is not just about what touches your tongue. It's about what touches your spirit. A piece of chocolate that feels like joy, a spoonful of soup that feels like shelter, a sip of something bitter that feels like truth. These are not just flavours. They are parts of life itself, carried gently to you, waiting quietly to be known. Before you could walk, before you could stand, even before you could crawl, your body was already learning balance. Not through thought, not through effort, but through quiet movement, through small tilts and subtle shifts, through the way your head turned and gravity pulled and your body slowly began to understand its place in space. Balance is not something you see, it is something you feel, not just in your feet, but in your bones, in your breath, in your centre. Deep inside your inner ear, tucked within a tiny chamber called the vestibular system, balance begins. It is made of small loops, semicircular canals, filled with fluid, lined with hair-like cells that bend when you move. These canals detect rotation, when you turn your head, when you spin, when you tilt. Nearby, two other structures, the utricle and sacral, sense gravity and motion in a straight line. Together, they create a map, a sense of where your head is, how your body is tilted, how fast or slow you're moving. They send this information silently, quickly, constantly to your brain. But balance is not only about ears. Your eyes play a part too, tracking motion, anchoring you to the horizon, helping your brain decide what is still and what is shifting. And then there's your sense of touch and the pressure of your feet against the ground or the weight of your body leaning left or right. Even your muscles and joints contribute, quietly reporting how stretched or compressed they are. All of these signals flow together like rivers into one wide ocean of understanding, and from that ocean you know where you are. You don't often think about balance until you lose it. A stumble, a spin, a moment of dizziness, then suddenly you realize just how much your body is always adjusting. It happens faster than thought. When you walk on uneven ground, your ankles respond. When you close your eyes, your muscles tighten slightly, helping you stay upright. When you turn your head quickly, your brain recalibrates the world in an instant. All so you don't fall. And when you do fall, the body remembers the next time you move that way, it will be more cautious. That's because balance is not just a reflex, it's a learning system. It adapts, it grows, it builds on experience. That's why gymnasts can walk tightropes and dancers can spin without losing center. They've trained their brains to read the signals better, faster, more precisely. But even without special training, your balance system is always working, standing quietly in the background, making sure you stay steady in a world that never stops moving. Balance is also tied to emotion. When you're anxious, your body stiffens, muscles tighten, breath becomes shallow. All of this changes how your body holds itself, how it sways, how it stands. That's why deep fear can make you dizzy, why grief can feel like falling, why relief feels like grounding. Balance is not just about posture, it's about presence. When you are fully present, your body finds its center more easily. You move with more ease, more grace, more peace. And balance lives not just in motion, but in stillness. When you stand quietly with your feet on the floor and your eyes closed, your body sways, just a little. This sway is not failure. It is communication. It is your muscles speaking to your brain, your breath speaking to your core. It is your body finding where it belongs in space, over and over again. Even as you sleep, your brain keeps track of position. It senses when you turn, when the mattress shifts, when your limbs need to move. Your vestibular system never sleeps. It is always at work, helping your body know up from down, left from right, self from space. Without it, dreams would feel like falling. Waking would feel like spinning. And yet balance is one of the quietest senses. It doesn't clamour for attention. It doesn't demand your notice. It is content to work behind the scenes, holding you upright, letting you move, letting you dance. It is not just a sense. It is a gift, a way of being in the world without fear, a way of trusting your body to carry you where you need to go. So the next time you walk, feel your feet on the ground. Feel the gentle shift of your weight from one side to the other. Feel how your arms move slightly, how your head stays steady, how your steps align. This is your balance, humming quietly beneath every moment, reminding you that even in motion you can be whole, that even when the world tilts you can find your center again. Let's move deeper now into the hidden grace of balance, the quiet rhythm that holds you upright even when you are unaware. Because balance is not a single action. It is a conversation, moment by moment, between your body and gravity, between your muscles and your mind, between the earth beneath you and the sky above. It is not a destination. It is an ongoing act of trust. Each time you take a step, you fall forward just slightly, and then you catch yourself. Every walk is a series of controlled falls. Every stand is a dance of tiny corrections. This system begins with the vestibular organs in your inner ear, but it doesn't end there. Your brain integrates this information with everything else it knows. It compares the tilt of your head to the stretch in your neck, to the pressure on your feet, to the horizon in your eyes. It asks questions 1,000 times a second. Are we level? Are we safe? Are we stable? The answers come not in words, but in micro-adjustments. Muscles tightening here, relaxing there, posture shifting by a whisper. When all is working well, this conversation is silent. You don't notice the work it takes to stand, to sit, to reach. But the moment one part falters, a twisted ankle, a dark room, a moment of illness, the balance system cries out. Dizziness, nausea, disorientation. These symptoms aren't punishments. They are messages. They say the map is unclear, the path is uncertain. Pause, recenter, listen. This is why balance is so deeply tied to stillness. In moments of overwhelm, you may find yourself sitting down without even knowing why. Lying on the floor, holding the edge of a chair. Your body is searching for ground, literally and emotionally. It is trying to find something stable to press against. Balance is not only physical, it is nervous system regulation. It is the body's way of calming itself by returning to something known. Even small rituals help. Standing barefoot, closing your eyes and breathing, lying flat on your back with arms open. These are more than stretches or exercises. They are ways of feeding the balance system, of reminding your brain, here is where the body ends and the ground begins. Here is where we are. You don't have to move to honor balance. Sometimes you only need to feel stillness. And yet movement deepens balance too. Children spin and tumble, fall and rise, learning how to stay centered by exploring what it means to lose center. This is how strength is built, not by never falling, but by falling and rising again, with more knowledge each time. Balance is less about perfection and more about resilience. You wobble, you adjust, you continue. In yoga, tai chi and dance, balance becomes art. Each pose, each motion is a study in stillness within movement. The breath leads, the feet anchor, the body listens, and in that listening something sacred emerges, the awareness that you are not separate from the space you occupy. You are shaped by it, and you shape it in return. Balance is the quiet agreement between you and your environment. And when life changes, when illness comes, when age softens your steps, when injury limits your motion, balance shifts too. It becomes more fragile, more precious. It asks for patience, for kindness. It may no longer be about standing tall, but about sitting upright, turning your head slowly, keeping your eyes steady. And in that slowing down, something new appears. Gratitude, for each step taken without falling, for each breath held without sway, for each moment the world feels still. Some people live with chronic imbalance. For them, every hallway is a challenge. Every tilt of the head requires care. But even here, the body adapts. It learns new paths. It uses vision more. It leans on touch. It creates new ways of knowing up from down. The balance system, though delicate, is creative. And so is the human spirit. Children learn balance through play. Adults often forget. But the joy of balancing, where walking along a curb, spinning in the grass, standing on one foot in the kitchen, is always available. It reconnects you to the body's ancient knowledge, to the primal joy of uprightness. You don't need to be strong or skilled, you only need to be curious, to try. To let your body remember that balance is not just something you keep, it is something you feel, with every step, every shift, every breath. So now, wherever you are, notice how your body meets the ground. Notice the gentle weight of your head, the stack of your spine, the softness or tension in your feet. This is balance, alive and working, not dramatic, not loud, just present, just enough to carry you quietly into the next moment. Now let balance settle in like a soft breath in the chest, like the quiet steadiness of the earth beneath bare feet. Because in the end, balance is not only what keeps you from falling, it is what lets you move with grace, with trust, with calm. It is a kind of silent music playing through the bones and muscles, adjusting constantly, endlessly, without applause. And yet this is one of the most generous acts your body performs, the quiet art of keeping you whole in motion. There is no one moment when balance finishes its work. It is there every time you reach for something, every time you bend, every time you rise from sleep. When you stand in the shower with eyes closed, when you step from curb to street, when you lean forward to hug someone or twist gently to look behind. Balance is there, not demanding to be noticed, only asking to be trusted. And when you do trust it, when you surrender to the body's wisdom, you feel a kind of peace that doesn't come from stillness alone, but from the stability within movement. Balance is also deeply connected to breath. With each inhale, your center lifts. With each exhale, it settles. The diaphragm moves. The ribs shift, the spine responds. This gentle rhythm is part of how the body finds its place in space. Breath grounds you. It becomes a steady companion in every pose, in every step. That's why breathing deeply when you feel dizzy can help. It's not just calming, it's realigning. Breath returns the body to center. In nature, animals rely on balance not only for survival, but for elegance. Watch a cat walk along a narrow fence, tail swaying with perfect precision. Watch a bird land on a swaying branch, adjusting mid-flight, mid-thought. These movements aren't rehearsed. They're built into the body's design. You are no different. Though you may not climb trees or leap rooftops, your body still remembers how to move in harmony with gravity. It still knows how to center itself. It only asks you to listen. Even in aging, balance can be nurtured. Muscles may weaken, joints may stiffen, but the inner system still responds to care. Simple movements, or lifting a foot, shifting weight from one side to another, standing tall, are not just exercises. They are conversations with the body's center. They are ways of saying, I'm still here. I'm still connected. I still belong in this body, in this space. When you lose balance, when the world spins or your feet slip, it can feel frightening. But even in that moment, the body is trying. Muscles reach out, arms stretch, eyes scan for stability. Balance doesn't fail. It adapts, it reacts, it tries again. And with practice, with patience, you learn to recover more easily. You learn that steadiness isn't about never swaying. It's about returning again and again to your own center. There is a spiritual side to balance too. The way we talk about being grounded, the way we crave equilibrium during stress, the way we feel the need to center ourselves in grief or in joy. These aren't just metaphors. They're reflections of the body's real intelligence. When your life feels off balance, often your body feels it first. Your breath shortens. Your posture shifts. Your steps become uncertain. But when you reconnect, when you walk slowly, breathe deeply, feel the soles of your feet, something softens. Balance returns, not just in the body, but in the heart. Balance is not a finish line. It is a relationship, one that changes every day with every season, every feeling, every stage of life. It's not about being perfect, but about being present, about honoring your body's small adjustments, its invisible strength, its tireless listening. Each time you stand upright, the body performs a miracle. It gathers thousands of signals and turns them into one quiet truth. You're safe. You're steady. You're here. So now, as you finish this story, take one moment to notice your body. Are you leaning slightly? Are your feet both touching the floor? Is your breath moving easily? These small check-ins are not trivial. They are acts of connection, of kindness, of returning to the balance that was always there, waiting. Let that be the final thought, that balance is not a challenge to conquer, but a friend to welcome, a soft center that says, no matter how the world shifts around you, you can find your place again. You can rise, you can move, you can trust. Your body remembers. It always has. And before you knew your name, before you could even see clearly or form a single word, your body was already listening. Not to the world outside, but to the world within. Beneath your skin, below the rhythm of breath and the beat of your heart, there is a silent sense always awake. It watches how your joints move, how your muscles stretch, how your limbs align. It tracks the pressure in your veins, the position of your head, the fullness of your lungs. This is your sixth sense, not the magical kind, but the one rooted in biology. The sense of self, the sense of your own body. Science calls it proprioception and interoception. Proprioception is how you know where your body is in space. Interoception is how you feel what's happening inside. Together they create a deep inner map. Without them, you would not be able to walk in the dark. You would not know when to eat or rest or breathe more deeply. You would not feel the gentle hum of being alive. Imagine reaching for a cup without looking. You don't need to see your hand. You know where it is. You know how far to extend. You know the weight of the object before you even lift it. That is proprioception, a quiet knowing born from nerves in your muscles, your joints, your tendons. These nerves send signals to your brain constantly, painting a full picture of your body's posture, movement, tension, and the brain responds, adjusting, fine-tuning, balancing so that every motion feels seamless. Now imagine feeling thirsty, not from a dry mouth alone, but from a deeper place, a sense that your body needs water, or the flutter in your chest before a big decision, or the warmth in your belly after a comforting meal. These are not surface feelings, they are signals from within, part of interoception. They let you know how your organs are doing, how your blood flows, how your breath shifts. They guide your awareness inward, gently and constantly. You don't often notice this sense until something changes. When you're dizzy, your body feels lost in space. When you're sick, you feel disoriented, not just from symptoms, but from the interruption of this inner listening. You forget how to feel like yourself. But when you rest, when you breathe deeply, when you find stillness, that map returns. Your body begins speaking again, in pulses and pressure and ease and ache. Children build this sixth sense as they grow, A toddler stumbling learns not just balance but awareness. A child climbing a tree learns how far to stretch, how strong to pull, how much pressure to give. These are not guesses. They are the result of inner feedback loops, information flowing up from the body, guiding every leap, every turn, every moment of play. And as you grow older, you rely on it constantly. When you sit in a dark room and cross your legs, when you wake and roll over, knowing exactly where your limbs are, when you sense your heartbeat rise from a strong emotion, or feel a lump in your throat at the edge of tears. None of this is random. It is your body listening to itself, responding, interpreting, holding space for feeling. This sense is deeply tied to emotions. Anxiety, for example, is not just in the mind, it lives in the body. A tight chest, shallow breath, a churning stomach. Your body is signaling something even before you name it, and when you learn to listen, when you learn to breathe into those spaces, you begin to regulate not just the physical but the emotional. You begin to come home to yourself. Mindfulness, true embodied mindfulness, depends on this sense. It's not only about noticing thoughts, but about noticing the pulse in your fingers, the expansion of your ribs, the feeling of your feet on the ground. This awareness doesn't need words. It doesn't need judgment. It only asks for presence, to feel gently what your body is saying. Even during sleep, your body keeps listening. Your heart rate shifts, your breath slows, muscles twitch and stretch. Your brain receives updates, makes corrections, helps you turn in the night, regulate your temperature, maintain the internal rhythm. You may be unconscious, but your sixth sense is not. It remains, watching over the house of your body like a quiet guardian. So much of what we call instinct comes from this sense. The urge to rest when tired, the need to cry when overwhelmed, the sense that something is wrong even if you don't know what. These are not guesses. They are signals passed along invisible pathways asking for your attention. And the more you listen, the more you begin to trust your own knowing. That soft, deep awareness that lives inside every breath, every pause, every heartbeat. Let's step further into this hidden world within, the space where your body speaks to itself in quiet rhythms, and your mind listens without always knowing it's listening. Because this sixth sense is not dramatic. It doesn't shout or flash. It doesn't arrive like a loud knock. Instead, it hums beneath the surface, steady and soft, like a pulse you can only feel when everything else goes still. And in that stillness, it tells you how you really are. This sense gives you access to the body's inner map, not the map of shape or size, but of feeling and function. It lets you know when your stomach is full, when your heartbeat is too fast, when your lungs need deeper air. It helps you sense thirst, fatigue, temperature, hunger, even emotional states. And this awareness isn't random. It's created through a constant stream of electrical signals travelling from inside you to your brain, painting a living picture of your inner world. This picture guides your decisions, your moods, your actions. Without it, you would be lost in your own body. Take breath, for example. Most of the time, you don't think about it. It comes and goes on its own, but the moment you shift your attention to it, when you slow it down, deepen it, soften it, your whole system responds. Your shoulders ease, your heart rate lowers, your mind becomes quieter. This is interoception at work, your brain listening to your breath, and your breath guiding your brain. It's not magic, it's biology, and it's beautiful. Even pain is part of this sense. Not only the sharp sting or the dull ache, but the more subtle discomforts, a sense of tightness, of imbalance, of something not quite right. These are early signals, messages from the body asking for care. When you listen to them, when you stretch or move or rest, you're responding not to drama, but to whisper. And in that whisper is wisdom. But in a world that often moves too fast, many people forget to listen. We're taught to push through, to ignore, to override what the body says. Hunger is delayed, rest is denied, emotion is suppressed, and over time the body learns to speak louder, through tension, through illness, through anxiety that seems to come from nowhere. But it's not nowhere. It's the voice of the body asking to be heard. Reconnecting with this inner sense doesn't require effort, it only requires attention. A few minutes of stillness, a soft scan from head to toe, noticing where breath moves freely and where it feels caught, noticing the weight of your body in a chair, the softness of your hands in your lap, the gentle beat in your chest. These are not small things, they are invitations back to yourself. And there is something sacred in knowing your own body deeply. It's not just a vessel or a tool, it's a living system, always adjusting, always supporting, always informing. Even emotions, joy, sadness, fear, live in the body first. You feel a rise of warmth, a catch in the throat, a flutter in the belly. These are not just symptoms, they are signals. They are how your nervous system processes the world. That's why movement too is a way of listening. Stretching in the morning, rocking slowly when anxious, walking without destination, dancing with closed eyes. These acts let the body lead. They turn attention inward, into muscle and breath and rhythm, and through them the sixth sense grows stronger. It becomes clearer, and with it you begin to understand not just how your body works, but how you work. Interoception also plays a role in empathy. The better you understand your own inner signals, the better you can sense others. If you know the feeling of stress in your chest, you may better recognize it in someone else's face. If you know how sorrow feels in your stomach, you may better hold space for another's grief. Inner awareness becomes outer kindness. The boundary between self and other softens, not because it disappears, but because it becomes more compassionate. And as you age, this sense can shift. Some signals become harder to read. Hunger fades, pain dulls, the body speaks in new ways or more quietly. But the listening remains. The connection can still grow. It may become slower, but it may also become deeper. With time, you may learn to listen with more care, more patience, more gratitude for the small, steady messages that say, you're here, you're whole, you're still listening. So the next time you pause, in the middle of a busy day, or in the quiet before sleep, place your hand gently on your chest. Feel the rise and fall, feel the warmth beneath your palm. That is not just your body, that is your life speaking in silence, a language that needs no words, only attention. Let this final part drift in softly, like breath through an open window, like quiet footsteps across a room you know by heart. Because this sixth sense, this silent awareness of the body listening to itself, is not something to master or control, it's something to return to, over and over again, not as a goal, but as a resting place. A way of remembering that your body is not a stranger. It is your oldest home. Even when you are still, this inner sense is moving. When you close your eyes, it doesn't go dark, it brightens inward. You begin to feel the weight of your limbs, the space of your lungs, the curve of your spine. You notice the small twitches, the warmth that gathers, the quiet rhythms of digestion, circulation, breath. These are not loud sensations. They don't demand your attention, but they are always there, waiting, like a stream beneath the ground, flowing whether you feel it or not. This is where grounding begins, not in the external world, but in the deep knowing of your own body. When you place your feet on the floor and sense their pressure, when you feel the sway of your posture as you stand, when you let your breath drop into your belly, you're grounding. You're anchoring your mind in the present through the language of the body. You're reminding yourself, I am here, I am whole, I am salve. This sense becomes a companion in difficulty. When anxiety rises, it helps to shift attention away from thoughts and into sensation, to notice the heartbeat, to feel the air entering your nose, to press your palms together. These are not distractions, they are pathways back to the body. When emotion overwhelms, the body becomes a guide. It shows where the tension lives, where the breath shortens, where stillness can be found. Your sixth sense is not a cure for pain, but it is a doorway through it. Even in illness, this awareness endures. When the body changes, when pain arrives or mobility shifts, the sense of self inside the body adjusts, slowly, kindly. The map might look different, but it still speaks, it still listens, and it still longs to be heard. Many who live with chronic conditions learn to listen in new ways, to quieter signals, to gentler rhythms, to subtler cues. This is not weakness, it is wisdom grown in quiet places. And there is beauty in the way the body tells the truth. When you're tired, it doesn't ask you to push, it asks you to pause. When you're full, it doesn't need a reason. It simply offers stillness. When you're afraid, it contracts not to punish, but to protect. These are not flaws. These are messages. And when we ignore them, we lose something sacred, the chance to live in relationship with ourselves. That relationship deepens with practice, but it doesn't need perfection. You don't have to meditate for hours or study anatomy to feel your breath. You don't need to know the names of muscles to feel your body ask for rest. All you need is willingness, A few quiet moments, a soft hand on your chest, a breath that leads you inward. A question asked gently, what do I feel? What do I need? And the willingness to listen, without judgment, without hurry. This sense also brings presence to joy, the way laughter warms your belly, the tingling in your hands when you're excited, the sense of floating when you're in love. These too are interoception. Your body doesn't just hold pain, it holds delight, longing, tenderness, and when you tune in, you feel it more deeply. The moment slows, the world softens, life enters not just your thoughts, but your skin, your breath, your pulse. Even death, when it comes, is part of this sense. In final moments, the body still seeks. The breath slows, the skin cools, the rhythm changes. Those nearby feel it, not as information, but as presence, as something sacred passing through the room. And the one leaving may not speak, may not move, but their body still holds meaning, still holds memory, still holds the quiet echo of a life once fully lived. So take this moment now to return, not to thoughts, but to breath, to body, to the gentle miracle of being alive in this exact shape, in this exact moment. Feel your feet on the floor, your spine holding you, your chest rising and falling. Nothing more is needed, nothing more is missing. Because this sixth sense, this inner listening, is not a mystery. It is your birthright. It is how you've always known you were alive, and though it may have gone unnoticed, it has never left you. It waits patiently beneath the noise, in every pause, in every breath, in every quiet reminder that you are here, you are listening, you're home. Long before words, before sound, before thought shaped itself into speech, there was silence. Not the silence of absence, but the presence of stillness, a full quiet space where the body could breathe, where the mind could drift, where life itself could be felt without needing to explain. Silence has always been a language, not of noise but of awareness, and your body understands it more deeply than you know. When you sit in silence, the world does not vanish. It sharpens. You begin to hear the gentle hum of your own breath, the soft pulse behind your ears, the creak of floorboards as they settle. These are not interruptions. They are invitations. The silence is not empty. It is full of sensation, of time, of waiting. And within it, the nervous system begins to soften. Muscles unclench. Breath deepens. Thoughts slow. The body remembers what it is like to be unhurried. Stillness speaks to your sixth sense, that deep awareness of self and space. When you pause and become quiet, your inner landscape begins to emerge. You notice tension in your shoulders that was invisible an hour ago. You feel the steady beat in your hands. You recognize that you are holding your breath without realizing it. Silence reveals what movement hides, and in that revealing, healing begins. The body is not designed for constant noise, though it can adapt to it. The hum of machines, the buzz of screens, the clatter of schedules, it thrives in stillness. In moments where the ears rest, the eyes soften, the breath flows without urgency. That's why a walk through trees feels different from a walk through traffic. It's not only the sights, it's the space, the quiet, the sense that the world is not demanding anything from you. Even the cells of your body respond. Studies have shown that silence can lower blood pressure, ease the heart, regulate stress hormones. Not just because it is peaceful, but because it gives the body a chance to return, to equilibrium, to center, to a natural rhythm that often gets buried beneath urgency. In silence, your body recalibrates. It listens inward. It remembers how to be. Children know this intuitively. A baby held in quiet, rhythmic rocking begins to settle. A child sitting alone, staring at dust motes in the sunlight, is not bored. They are listening, feeling, processing. But as we grow, we are taught to fill silence. With talk, with work, with distraction. We come to fear it, as if something is wrong if there is no sound. But silence is not a failure of speech. It is a space for truth, for attention, for presence. Silence also allows emotion to rise. When the noise fades, the feelings you've set aside begin to speak. Grief you didn't know you carried. Joy that went unnoticed. Loneliness waiting quietly in the corners. These are not problems to solve, they are voices to hear, and the body, given time and quiet, knows how to hold them. In silence, you may remember something you thought you'd forgotten, a face, a feeling, a dream that had grown dim. You may notice how a particular part of your body feels, your hands, your jaw, your spine, not because it suddenly changed, but because you finally stopped enough to feel it. Silence brings you home to your senses, not the outer ones alone, but the inner, the deep perception that lives beneath distraction. This is why meditation, even in its simplest form, is powerful, not because it's difficult, but because it's rare, just sitting, just breathing, just being, letting the moment be what it is without needing to narrate it or shape it or make it useful. In these moments, the nervous system rests, the mind opens, the breath slows, and the silence, once feared, becomes a friend. Silence is also a teacher. It shows you what you avoid, what thoughts rise when you stop running, what stories you repeat to yourself. It doesn't judge, it doesn't correct, it simply reflects. Like a still pond, it shows you what you carry. And if you sit long enough, you may begin to let some of it go. But silence is not always gentle. Sometimes it brings discomfort, restlessness, sadness, longing. This is part of its work too. It makes room for the things you've buried. It holds them up to the light. And though it may ache at first, this is how healing begins, not with noise, but with the brave act of listening. In deep silence, something ancient stirs, a feeling older than thought, a remembering, the sense that you are not only your schedule, your voice, your doing, you're also your being, your breath, your presence, and in that awareness you begin to feel whole again, not because you fixed anything, but because you finally stopped trying to. So let silence be not an absence, but a presence. Let it enter your day like a visitor. Make space for it, even for a few minutes. Turn off the music, step away from the scroll, sit with your breath, feel your body, listen. There is so much waiting inside you, so much that has been trying to be heard, and in that quiet, you may begin to hear the softest voice of all, your own. Let's drift deeper now into the quiet where silence begins to stretch and open like the surface of still water. Because once the body grows accustomed to the quiet, something begins to shift, not just in the mind, but in the very rhythm of how you are. Stillness becomes less like a pause and more like a place where your senses are no longer being pulled outward, a place where you begin to notice what lives beneath the surface of your everyday awareness. In this place, time moves differently, without noise to mark its passage, without tasks to divide the day. Minutes soften, stretch, unfold. You begin to measure time not by clocks, but by breath, by the slow exhale, by the warmth returning to your hands, by the moment when your thoughts no longer race to fill every space. Silence teaches patience, not by forcing it, but by showing that nothing urgent lives in the next moment, only the present, breathing beside you. And when the nervous system finds its way into that deeper calm, new things rise, creativity, clarity, compassion, not because they were created by silence, but because they were always there, just beneath the noise. In a quiet room, a new idea arrives, soft as a feather. A feeling of kindness arises, unprompted, for yourself or for someone you love. The absence of distraction becomes a window, not a wall, a way of seeing through instead of being shut out. This is where the body becomes your companion. You feel the alignment of your spine not as posture but as presence. You sense how the chest expands when you're relaxed, how the belly moves gently with each breath. Even your heartbeat becomes something you can feel, not just as sound, but as rhythm, a soft, ancient drum reminding you that you are alive, even when the world grows still. Silence doesn't need perfect conditions. It doesn't require mountains or temples. It can be found in a parked car, in a dimly lit hallway, in the pause between one task and the next. What it asks is attention. Not a rigid kind, but a soft noticing. The kind that doesn't try to hold anything too tightly. The kind that allows the world to be exactly as it is, even if that includes discomfort or restlessness. And discomfort does come. In silence, the mind often grows louder. At first, the thoughts you've pushed aside begin to rise. The feelings you've been too busy to feel arrive in full colour. This is not failure. This is the door opening. Silence is not always peaceful right away. Sometimes it is a mirror, and what it shows is simply what has been waiting. It shows you the truth, not to harm you, but to give you back to yourself. There is also a rhythm to silence, a gentle pacing that matches the body more than the mind. when you walk slowly without speaking, when you breathe without counting, when you sit without expectation, your entire system begins to sync with that rhythm. The noise inside starts to match the quiet outside. You stop fighting time, you start flowing with it. And in that flow, you find ease, not dramatic joy, but quiet belonging. This rhythm is ancient. Long before alarm clocks and screens, human life moved by sound and silence, sunrise, birdsong, wind through grass, the hush of evening. Our ancestors lived by these cues, not in isolation but in communion. Silence was not emptiness, it was connection. It was the moment between stories told by firelight, the pause before a song, the breath held in wonder at the stars. Even now, some of the most profound human experiences are wrapped in silence. Holding hands, watching a sunrise, mourning a loss, standing before something beautiful. These are not moments for explanation. They are moments for presence, and the silence in them is not absence. It is fullness. It is awe. Inside the body, silence opens space. Muscles let go, joints soften, the heart finds a slower rhythm, and the mind, no longer racing, begins to hear what's beneath the noise. Desires you hadn't named, grief you hadn't processed, joy you'd forgotten you felt. These are not loud feelings. They don't ask for drama, only attention, only presence, only the quiet in which they can breathe. Even illness can feel different in silence. Pain is still pain, but without distraction, it becomes clearer. You may learn where it starts, how it moves, what makes it ease or grow. The body speaks in sensation, in temperature, in rhythm, in stillness. You begin to understand its language, not to fix it immediately, but to honor it, to say, I'm listening. And silence doesn't need to be long to matter. A few breaths, a short walk, a quiet sip of tea. These are not meaningless breaks. They are medicine. They are moments when the body and mind touch again, when the soul returns from its scattered thoughts to rest in the skin. Silence doesn't demand a retreat from life. It asks only that you meet life with more openness, more softness, more truth. So when the day grows noisy, when your thoughts become tangled, when the world feels too full, find even the smallest doorway into stillness. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Place your hand on your chest. Feel the air move in and out. That's all it takes. That's where it begins. And each time you return, the silence welcomes you like an old friend. Never impatient, never disappointed, always waiting. Now let this final section unfold like dusk settling over water. Slow, soft, unforced. Because when you truly live inside silence, not just visit it, something in you begins to change. You begin to trust stillness not as absence, but as nourishment. You begin to understand that you do not need to fill every gap with words or thoughts, that there is wisdom not only in sound but in space, in the pause between, in the breath held without reason, in the way your body becomes more real when the world becomes more quiet. Silence is not something you chase. It is something you allow. It's not a thing to possess, but a place to meet, a meeting with yourself, with your senses, with something ancient inside you that has never needed noise to speak. When you are truly quiet, you begin to hear more clearly, not just the world, but your place in it. You sense how the earth holds you, how the chair supports you, how the breath enters and leaves without being asked. You feel, in the deepest sense, that you are enough. And this feeling doesn't come with fireworks. It comes like water in the desert, unnoticed at first, then unmistakably alive. It comes in the space between thoughts, in the moment your shoulders drop, in the sigh you didn't know you were holding. That sigh is the sound of returning to your own rhythm, your own pace, your own quiet. There is a reason people sit in silence to pray, or to meditate, or to grieve, or to wait. Because silence makes space for things words cannot hold. It is a vessel for feeling, a room large enough for sorrow and stillness, for joy and awe. It does not rush you, it does not fix you, it simply makes room. And in that room you are allowed to be exactly as you are. In silence you might remember who you were before the world asked you to be so many things, before the lists and the roles and the deadlines. You might remember the version of yourself who felt the wind and laughed for no reason, who watched clouds move like stories across the sky. That version is not gone, they are simply quiet, waiting beneath the noise, and silence brings them back, gently, without pressure, like a hand on your back that says, "You're still here." And maybe that's what silence gives most of all. Permission. Permission to be unhurried, to be incomplete, to not know what comes next, to feel fully without explaining, to rest without guilt, to listen without reacting, to be alone without being lonely. These are not luxuries. They are basic forms of care, and silence offers them freely again and again. Even in community, silence holds power. When two people sit together without speaking, a different kind of intimacy grows. There is trust in that space, the trust that presence is enough, that being with someone doesn't always require filling the air, that comfort can exist without commentary. These are the silences that deepen bonds, the ones that say, "I see you," even without words. And when you learn to carry silence inside you, you can bring it into noise. You can walk through a crowded room without losing your center. You can hold calm in the middle of urgency. You can speak more slowly, more thoughtfully, more truly. Because silence is not something you escape to, it's something you carry. It becomes a part of your breath, your posture, your way of moving through the world. Some days the silence will be easy, other days it will be uncomfortable. That's part of the practice. It isn't about perfection, it's about return, about showing up to the quiet with curiosity, with kindness, with a willingness to feel what you feel. And over time, the silence changes. It softens, it opens, it welcomes you home. So now, as this final stillness arrives, let your breath slow just a little more. Feel your body as it is, not as it should be. Let your thoughts float without needing to catch them. Let the moment be what it is, whole, quiet enough. The world will return, the sound, the speed, the tasks, but the silence remains, like a small ember you carry in your chest. And any time you pause, breathe, listen, it glows again. It reminds you that beneath every voice is breath, beneath every motion is stillness, beneath every life is space, and in that space you are already held. Long before you learn to speak, long before your eyes open to light, something inside you is already moving, warm, silent, steady. A river without a mouth, without a sound. Blood, the pulse beneath the skin, the quiet current of life. You cannot see it, but it is always there, rising and falling with each beat of your heart, carrying nourishment and breath to every corner of your body. It is not loud, but it is never still. It is the motion that keeps you whole. Your body holds more than 5 liters of blood, and every drop is alive with purpose. It flows through a vast network of vessels, arteries that stretch like highways, veins that return like rivers, and capillaries so small they pass through in single file. This system reaches almost every cell. It connects head to toe, surface to core, breath to beat. And within that system, blood is not just a traveller. It is a messenger, a healer, a carrier of the story your body tells to itself. At the centre of this movement is your heart, not a symbol, but a muscle. About the size of a fist, it rests quietly behind your ribs, beating more than 100,000 times a day. Not because you tell it to, but because that's what it was made to do. It pumps not with urgency, but with rhythm, a steady, pulsing drum that began before you were born and will continue until your last breath. Each beat sends blood outward, carrying oxygen drawn from your lungs, nutrients from your food, warmth from your core. Blood is not red by accident. Its colour comes from hemoglobin, a protein in red blood cells that binds with oxygen. When oxygen is rich, blood shines bright crimson. When it gives away its oxygen to your muscles and tissues, it darkens, turns deeper, makes its journey back to the heart to begin again. This cycle is quiet, but essential. Without it, every part of you would go dark. And it's not only oxygen that blood carries. It moves hormones, the body's messengers, telling distant organs when to wake, when to rest, when to grow, when to heal. It carries immune cells, tiny guardians that patrol constantly, ready to defend. It carries heat, helping your body stay warm in cold, cool in heat. It carries waste, carbon dioxide, urea, byproducts of your living, all gently collected and delivered to the lungs, the kidneys, the skin where they can be released. Blood is not only a giver, it is a cleaner, a listener, a keeper of balance. Your veins and arteries hold this flow, but they are more than pipes. They are responsive. They widen when you need more blood, during a run, during a fever, during fear. They narrow when you are cold, when you need to preserve. The inner lining of your vessels is slick and alive, releasing chemicals that guide flow, prevent clots, repair damage. This system is not fixed. It listens, it changes, it adapts. And when you feel your heartbeat, in your wrist, in your chest, in your throat, what you feel is the wave of blood meeting your body. You are not just feeling motion, you are feeling presence, proof that you are here, that something deep inside you is working tirelessly on your behalf. Even in sleep, even in silence, your heart beats, your blood moves, your body breathes. There is music in it, the rhythm of the heart, the ebb and surge of circulation. The sound doctors listen for with stethoscopes is not just sound, it is confirmation. That the valves open and close, that the muscle squeezes and releases, that the loop of life continues, and beneath all of it is blood, red, warm, flowing. Even emotions move through this system. When you feel joy, your heart quickens. When you're afraid, it races. When you're calm, it slows. Your blood carries these states, reflects them, responds to them. It is part of how your body feels, what your mind knows. That's why love feels like heat in the chest, why fear feels like ice in the belly, why grief feels like heaviness in the limbs. Blood makes emotion physical, and sometimes the system stumbles, a clot, a bleed, a pressure that rises too high. But even then the body tries to protect. It sends platelets to seal a cut, it narrows vessels to slow a loss, it increases flow when danger is sensed. It is not perfect, but it is persistent. It wants to keep you whole. From the moment your heart began to beat, only weeks after you were conceived, this system has never stopped. It is your first rhythm, your oldest pattern. Long before you opened your eyes, before you took your first breath, blood was already moving, already giving, already listening. So place your hand gently over your chest. Feel the beat. Know that with every pulse, your body is speaking. It is saying, you are here, you are alive, you are connected not only to yourself, but to every living thing that carries blood through veins, that breathes, that feels. This is your river, your rhythm, your quiet, constant miracle. Let's move with the rhythm now, deeper into the river that flows within you. The bloodstream, though unseen, is always alive with motion. Each drop carries thousands of cells, some delivering, some protecting, some cleaning, and yet it never grows tired. Even when you rest, even when you sleep, it continues without pause. It flows through your fingers, your scalp, your bones, bringing what is needed, taking away what is done. It is a dance, constant and quiet. Within this stream, white blood cells move like scouts. They drift, but they're alert. When invaders enter, a virus, a wound, a splinter, they gather, they communicate. Some engulf, some signal, some remember. That's how you build immunity. Memory not just in the mind, but in the blood. Your body remembers every illness it survived and stores the knowledge in cells that wait for the next time. Blood is not just transport, it's wisdom, travelling on. Then there are the platelets, the ones that patch you up. When skin breaks, they race to the wound, sticking together to form a barrier. A clot, a seal, a quiet fix. Your blood doesn't panic, it repairs, it responds. And floating in between are red blood cells, round, soft, flexible. They carry oxygen like tiny boats, dropping it off where it's needed most. Muscles, brain, skin everywhere, and when their work is done, they return. They last only about 20 days, then are replaced, made fresh by your bones. Your body is always renewing itself silently without asking for thanks. You can't see it, you rarely feel it, but you are being carried, every moment, every breath. Not by one thing, but by many, in a system that asks for little, but gives everything. Now let the rhythm slow, let the current soften, because even though blood moves constantly, it also knows how to rest. In the stillness of sleep, your heart beats more gently, your vessels widen, your body takes time to heal, to grow, to remember. This is not just rest, it's recovery, and your blood helps make it possible. It carries signals that say, slow down, repair, begin again. Every morning when you wake, it is there, flowing, ready, quietly fueling your thoughts, your steps, your breath. And when you feel warmth in your hands, a flush in your cheeks, the pulse in your neck, those are signs. Signs that your body is working, that life is still moving inside you. We often look outside for proof that we're alive, for voices, for lights, for noise, but the truth has always been inside, in your blood, in the beat that never stops, in the way your heart speaks in pulses, not words. So the next time you pause, place 2 fingers on your wrist. Feel the gentle rhythm beneath the skin. That's not just a beat. That's your story, flowing quietly, faithfully, endlessly, from the heart to the body and back again.